In the city-states of Italy, humanism ignites a new age, the Renaissance, heralding an explosion of new ideas, new inventions, and new discoveries. It is a time like no other.
It's a nice time to be born as a really brilliant person.
In a small rural town in Tuscany, a young boy discovers the world. Almost from the beginning, the mysteries of nature fascinate him.
He grew up in the countryside outside of Florence, and he seems to have been able to find all kinds of animals and plants and insects.
But young Leonardo has no real place in the world, no future. He is the bastard child of a respected notary and a poor farmer's daughter. He lives in his father's house, while his mother is left to marry a man of her own class.
His mother married, sometime after Leonardo was born, a local guy who is known through what seems to be a nickname, Attaccabriga. The fighter, the quarreler, the guy with the fists. They probably lived locally. It's not inconceivable that Leonardo would have had some access to her, but it's equally possible that Leonardo's family kept him away from these other people who were of a different social station.
Young Leonardo enjoys a comfortable childhood with his father and stepmother. But because of his illegitimate status, his prospects look bleak.
It's sort of like a second-class family membership. Legal offspring, obviously, are going to inherit the family estate, as well as follow the father into the family business. Leonardo is disqualified in some measure from that.
Leonardo!
Sì, madre.
Torna a casa, immediatamente. Ma perché devi sempre fare di tutto un gioco?
Destined for life as a tradesman, he cannot even take his father's name. He is known as Leonardo from Vinci. His family will spend no money on his formal education.
You can sort of imagine what it must be like to have been considered illegitimate in an age when being illegitimate really meant something. There were, professions that were closed to you. You were constrained greatly by that, by something completely beyond your control.
Faced with his illegitimacy, young Leonardo begins to develop a code to push beyond all expectations, past all obstacles. It will eventually propel him into the corridors of power and on to greatness. In his teens, Leonardo moves with his father to Florence, a city driven by perilous politics. In this thriving place of commerce and beauty, one family stands at the center. A family whose importance to Leonardo will grow as he matures. The Medici. The Medici, rich and very powerful, are the most important patrons of the arts in Florence. Yet in spite of their power, the Medici bankers can never rest easy. Assassination is common, as rival banking families compete for the city's wealth.
Florence is a city that is officially governed by the guilds. It's been that way since the end of the 13th century. The government of Florence is drawn from the most powerful guilds.
The guilds are professional trade unions, but most are closed to a bastard like Leonardo. For Leonardo, it is difficult to gain entry to even a lower non-professional guild. His one hope rests in his talent and the help of his father's well-placed friend.
Tu devi essere Leonardo. Ti stavo aspettando.
His father sends him to Andrea de Verrocchio, a highly regarded Florentine artist. Verrocchio agrees to take Leonardo as an apprentice, to give him the experience he needs to one day gain admittance to a guild. Here, Leonardo first comes to understand the connection between art and power. The Medici, the ruling family of Florence, often commissioned paintings from Verrocchio. As Leonardo becomes part of the workshop, he realizes he can push beyond his social limitations. His code emerges, stronger now. If circumstances hold you back, always find another way to achieve your goals. In the studio, Leonardo works on, his code driving him to learn all he can, to excel beyond his teacher's expectations. His notebooks reflect the demands he makes on himself.
The painter must develop all his skills, because there is no self-respect in doing one thing well and another badly.
The Verrocchio workshop is active in all kinds of media, has command of technologies of different kinds. Not just painting, but painting on ceramics, marble sculpture, sculpture in bronze, other metallurgical enterprises, like the casting of cannons, the casting of bells.
And as he works, Leonardo's reputation grows, even reaching the attention of the Medici family. Here in the workshop as Verrocchio's protege, Leonardo's first great work emerges. It is considered the oldest surviving Leonardo painting. The angel on the left, far in the corner of Verrocchio's The Baptism of Christ, is only a fragment, a tantalizing glimpse of the genius to come. It is only the mediocre pupil who does not surpass his master, Leonardo writes. And legend has it that Verrocchio, after seeing Leonardo's angel, never painted again. A man of unusual sensitivity, Leonardo cherishes nature and will not eat meat, refusing to be a tomb for other creatures. To him, nature is the ultimate machine, and he holds its mysteries in respect and awe. He spends his life trying to discover how it works. The movement of clouds and water, the mystery of birds in flight. Science, nature, mechanics, Leonardo pictures them as one entity, to be captured through his creative life. Nature is one thing, human nature is something else. The success that has lifted him above his bastard status has also earned him envy and resentment. Dark forces move against him. Oblivious to any danger, Leonardo throws himself into new experiments to understand the nature of light and shadow. He examines the fall of candlelight on fabric and how the human eye records it. His notes reveal the importance he places on these studies.
Nothing can be recognized without light and shade. It is only through the eye, the window of the soul, that we can truly understand the complex workings of nature.
But in 1476, envy and betrayal catch up with him, born in the hands of the Night Watch, the dreaded secret police of Florence. At 24 years old, Leonardo is anonymously accused of sodomy with a 17-year-old male prostitute. But at the trial, no evidence is brought against him. No witness is presented. The charges are dropped. The cruel act of an anonymous enemy. He begins designing ladders and other devices for defending and scaling walls.
These ladders are designed to carry 2 men. They are also useful for a tower, where you might fear that a rope ladder could be detached by the enemy.
It's all engineering, 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 because that's sort of the reality of Italy at the time that Leonardo's alive. You have all these different warring city-states, and warfare is a constant fact of life.
Da Vinci labors on and waits, putting his active mind to work on defensive fortification and other weapons of war. As peace at last comes to Florence, Leonardo receives a commission to paint the Adoration of the Magi. an altarpiece for the monastery at San Donato Ascopito. It is his first important work.
We have the Adoration of the Magi treated like nobody has really conceived this event before. Among the turmoil of figures that are surrounding the kind of serene Virgin and Child, this frenzy of devotional attention, there are rearing horses. It's a turmoil of men and horses.
He forms the composition almost in a square, with a triangle made up of the Virgin and kneeling kings.
But here, Leonardo is using the body of the horse to invest his composition with dynamic motion and energy, the sense of frenzy, the sense that this is almost like an apocalyptic event, the incarnation.
Tantalizingly, some scholars think the standing figure of the young man on the bottom right may be a self-portrait of the young Leonardo. The work is considered an overture, a first statement of Leonardo's great work to come. But it doesn't go well. After devoting extraordinary time to the underpainting, he leaves it unfinished. His notebooks suggest his reason.
To conceive an idea is noble. To execute the work is servile.
After leaving Florence, Leonardo da Vinci, now 30, arrives in Milan hoping to sell his skills in military engineering to the acting Duke Ludovico Sforza, a shrewd and militaristic noble.
He walked away from what would have no doubt been a secure and comfortable living as the society painter in late 15th century Florence. He went instead to the bustling but military, aggressive, politically turbulent city of Milan, up near the French border.
At the end of the 15th century, Italy is a theater for war, as the smaller city-states of Milan and Naples struggle to survive against the superpowers of France and the Ottoman Empire, pressing in from all sides. Cleverly exploiting these unstable politics, Leonardo's letter to the Duke outlines every imaginable military skill he has as an engineer. Fortress design, cannon construction, siege machines. Only in the very last line does he mention that he is also a painter. Unfortunately, Da Vinci must set aside his excitement about military designs. The Duke needs a portrait of his mistress. Despite Leonardo's disappointment, the painting becomes one of his most famous and important. The Lady with an Ermine. It is revolutionary. The first time a portrait shows the sitter's thoughts or feelings through posture and gestures.
This relates to a series of interests being pursued by Leonardo about the motions of the mind. You know, as the mind moves, so the body expresses the motions of the mind. Or as Leonardo would say, that's where the movements of the soul make themselves most manifest.
Her head turns to the right, as if distracted by something to the side. The animal as well is tense and alert. Again, Da Vinci's code pushes him to tackle new ideas. The Duke commissions a colossal statue of his father, astride a powerful stallion. And so Leonardo begins to study the proportions of horses, using a small and docile model as his subject. This is the very essence of Leonardo's code, to push beyond the expected, not only in his work, but in his life. And as the great horse slowly takes form, Leonardo turns his lively mind again to weapons of war. Like the horse, his designs are huge, monumental.
He always engineers these things that are just enormous, much, much larger than anything that existed at the time. And the giant crossbow is sort of the poster child of this mentality. It's about the size, probably, of a tractor trailer in length.
He begins his famous notebooks, an obsession that lasts his entire lifetime and confounds us to this day. It's estimated he will fill over 15,000 pages before he dies.
What did he write in his notebooks? Everything. Laundry lists. Don't forget to get the money that so-and-so owes you. I need this at the store. Moving lists. Sketches of people that he saw on the street who had interesting faces. Notes to himself of, anything he wanted to remember.
Leonardo often composes these notes from right to left, even forming the letters and words backwards, as if in a mirror.
People would speculate, and still speculate, that he was trying to write in code. He didn't want people copying his idea.
Da Vinci leaves the service of Borgia and returns to Florence and the art of painting, perhaps to explore the gentler side of human nature. There he begins the one work for which he will always be remembered.
No, non ridete. Sorridete. È divertente ma non isterico. Pensate cose dolci. Pensate al vostro amante. Giusto.
It is called the Mona Lisa. No one knows who she is, or if she even existed at all. As he paints, Da Vinci keeps her amused with music and entertainment.
Leonardo says in his writings that faces are most beautiful at dusk. He captures this effect by using transparent films of paint, a technique which is later called sfumato, which means kind of literally smoking, kind of a smoky effect.
You can see it in these almost invisible transitions from light to shade, which are so enigmatic and so incredible that anybody could paint that with brushes. It's really a great display of virtuosity. People often talk about the Mona Lisa smile as being mysterious. If it is mysterious, it's because Leonardo da Vinci has shaded the corners of her mouth and eyes, which are some of the most expressive features of the human face.
Is to suggest that the Mona Lisa is a painting of a mystery, that there's something very, very secret going on with the Mona Lisa. And this is, we get the elaboration of this myth of secrecy about the Mona Lisa smile. Or who is the Mona Lisa? Is she Leonardo's lover? Is she Leonardo himself?
History does not reveal her true identity. Da Vinci's biographer Vasari identifies her as Mona Lisa Gioconda, the wife of a merchant. But Vasari never saw the painting, and Da Vinci himself never left any clue.
Carried it around with him for years, and he kept working on it. Never quite done. The only reason it exists in the form it exists today is because he died.
The Mona Lisa remains forever a work in progress, a physical manifestation of his code, of his commitment to achieve the impossible, perfection in painting.